Good morning, everyone, on this classic day. It's Saturday, the 16th of September, the final classic of the season, the oldest classic of the lot. It is the St. Ledger at 3:35, and we have a special preview edition of HHV. The judge, there's the judge. He's got his glasses in one hand and the hammer in the other. Let's hope he doesn't mix them up. So, yeah, we want to see that hammer smashed on the table and the glasses put on, mate, not the other way around. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, mate. Yeah, brilliant day yesterday. And obviously we talked about Judges' Duels. We both had a nice winner from the Judges' Duels in recent weeks. Both nice prices.
We always
your
say get them in the
Circa,
tracker.
wasn't it? You said that she's going to
Turkey,
be a nice
yeah,
winner.
it's
She
won the
won a nice
first
price.
3-1, and then you had the Daryl Holland horse.
Yeah, Evocative Spark. What a price that went on. That won easily at 15-2. So it's a good day.
So Judges' Duels on Monday, folks. Get them in a tracker. You would have had a right royal day yesterday, so that's why you've got to do them and keep an eye on these. So well done there, mate, and we'll see if we can find you some more on Monday, folks. So tune in to Judges' Duels on the Judge Pottage YouTube channel. But for now, let's have a look at the field and the prices. Then I'll ask the judge to go through the race as he sees it. So it's the 3:35. It is the oldest classics, over 1 mile 6. The ground has been changed and they've got a dry day forecast. Soft, good to soft in places, but logic tells me this ground is drying all the time. Now, Continuous has taken over overnight as favourite at 3-1 for Ryan Moore and Coolmore. Gregory yesterday was the longer priced of the Gosden horses and is now just sneaking it 4-1, second favourite at the Mount of Kieran Schumacher. Frankie Dettori has chosen to ride Arrest on his final classic ride, or are there rumours he's having a rethink? We shall see on that one. You can get 5-1 with William Hill on Arrest, and you would have, well, shook your head if I'd have said you can get 5-1 Arrest 2 days ago when people were talking about it going off as low as 9-4, but we'll come to all that. Desert Hero, Tom Marquand, the horse on the hat trick at 11-2. Tower of London with Jim Crowley riding for Coolmore at 8-1. There has been money overnight, serious money for the old Tower of London there. Can't just be the Beefeaters having a fiver on, can it? There's been significant support there. We've got Chess Piece at 12-1. Chess Piece at 12-1. James Dole takes the ride for the Crisfords. Then we've got Middle Earth, the third of the Gosden candidates, with Ocean Murphy in the play, as big as 14-1. We then round off with one called Alexandropolis. There we go, I said it, 33-1. And Denmark, which is much easier, both O'Brien. So O'Brien has 1, 2, 3, 4 of the 9 run of field, and Gosden has 1, 2, 3 of the 9 run of field. So you could say, I wonder what price you'll get on one of those stables winning. So, Judge, we got 2 monster yards who've won this race regularly, dominating this race. It's a little bit like a jumps grade 1 at Cheltenham with 2/3 of the field being Mullins and Elliott, and it's a very, very strange setup. I suppose you could argue it's disappointing to see in a way that we don't have more breadth of challenges. But what sort of ledger do you think this is going to be in terms of quality, and what do you think looking at the field?
It's quite a good question, actually. Not that you're quite used to them anyway.
You were sounding surprised there that I'd asked you a good question.
Yes. I don't think it's actually the strongest ledger I've ever seen, to be honest. The reason I say that is a lot of these horses are coming from handicaps, and you often find maybe 1 or 2 running in a ledger are coming from handicaps, and they nearly always are, sort of double figure price or whatever. I can't think of the name of the big price horse that we had last year. That you had the winner last year, and I had the one that come third at a big price. Begins with G, ends up running in the cup races this year. That run well, but that was coming from handicaps. So you do get some, but for me, I think, mate, if you really look at quite a lot in the field, I've got, where are we? Desert Heroes come from handicaps, Tower of London, Chess Piece, Middle Earth, and Denmark. So you've got 5 of the fields that all come from sort of middle, sort of better range handicaps. And I feel like it's probably not the strongest renewal, in the long story short.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. We've got a lot coming out of handicaps. We haven't got any horses in here who's kind of got the wow factor that come here unbeaten or going for triple crowns or anything like that. It isn't that type of year. But what I will say is, I think it's a very competitive ledger, and it's going to be an exciting race. We haven't got an even money shot that's either going to win or flop, and you decide you're going to play the fave or take it on. We've got a race where you can build a case for several. So you think it's a good race? Who are your main contenders, and what's your selection, Judge?
Well, yes, my main contenders would have to be around the front of the market, which is not something I'm really proud of or really like, to be honest. But the ones I kind of want to be against, just on the basis that I think I found a couple of form lines, and I think they look out to me. I wanted to be against the Desert Hero chess piece form line because they tied up with horses like Canberra Legend and Artistic Star. I've got to put my glasses on now, he says. Basically, if you looked at the form of the Goodwood race, the Gordon Stakes, they had those sort of Canberra Legend and Artistic Star were beaten sort of 3.5 lengths and 4 lengths there. Then you look at the Great Voltager and Continuous and Gregory, were beating those type of horses sort of 15 and 16 lengths. I know they went lickety split there, but I even go back to the Dante Stakes earlier on in the season, and Continuous beat Canberra Legend a lot further as well in that particular race. So you have got sort of 2 lines to look at. So I wanted to be against that particular line. I didn't like Middle Earth at all. I think the Melrose form's taken quite a few knocks as a handicap. It's been pretty disappointing. So I wanted to be against that. The funny outsider possibly would be Alexandropolis, because it's just one of the ones you're so hard to weigh up. And he was massive odds on to beat Denmark earlier on in the year, so he's obviously got a better chance in that one. But for me, looking at the form, obviously I've talked about the two of them. I thought Gregory was very interesting. The fact he was 8-11 to win the Great Voltager. If he had won that race, for argument's sake, as easily as Continuous did, he would be going off odds on for this race, and you can now back him at sort of 4-1. So I was kind of looking at him, but I did end up coming down to the Frankie factor. The fact Frankie you'd like to think he probably had the choice. This horse Arrest, although I didn't think he deserved to be, he was favourite for the Derby. His 2 disappointing runs this season have both been on fast ground. He got himself back on track last time out in Newbury, winning quite comfortably. I've heard people sort of grab the form because the second got beaten in the race Group 2 earlier on this week with Billy. She come fourth. But the horse further back in the field, Jack Darcy, who's well back, won a Group 2 in France, and I think that was missed. And if you also look at the Chester run, he did beat Adelaide River very easily. And Adelaide River has come second in an Irish Derby and won a group race. I think it was Group 3 on the Champions card at Leopardstown last weekend. So for me, in the end, I went for Arrest, mate. But I wouldn't be too surprised if Gregory was the one.
Yeah. I actually was at York for that race, and I thought Gregory had a very, very hard race that day.
That is the negative, yeah.
Yeah, and I thought I won't be with you next time. He had a brutal race. Arrest, yes, you're right. Ching Shi did let the form down slightly, but I think that was quite a good race the other day. I also think if you watch the race, that was at 1 mile 5 at Newbury. And if you watch Ching Shi at the furlong pole on Thursday, she was going quite well. I think she just didn't get home in that last furlong. So actually, you could argue when they hit the line at the 1 mile 5, which was that trip, that actually she may have franked that form a little bit. I'm very worried about the very, very big drift on Arrest for Gosden Frankie. This is Gosden Frankie. You would expect, and you made the point then, that had Arrest won York, as everybody there was told it would, and went off with some big meaty bets on the rails and online rather. You would have been looking at, you're right, 4-5 if you were lucky. The fact that Continuous absolutely stuffed Gregory that day. It's strange that the the difference in price is a point or a point and a half. Whereas really, on the back of that, I sort of think that Continuous is too big and Gregory's too short on that form line. Now, I don't see Gregory beating Continuous today. I really struggle to see that happening. Now, the problem I've got with the rest is what I've just quickly touched on. This horse is now 26-5 as we record on the exchanges. Now, that is extremely worrying because it's Gosden. It won impressively last time. It was the Derby favourite. Frankie has had the choice. There's no way he wouldn't have picked if he didn't think Arrest was the one. He got some stick for his ride on Gregory, so you may want to quickly avoid that horse for a while. However, what the hell is it? You know, we were saying midweek it was going to go off 9-4, 5-2. Watching it drift and chunks appear for it. I'm not saying there's something definitely wrong with this horse, or they would, I'm sure, pull it out. But this cannot be sparkling them at home because the ground is really what it wants. So he's got the ground in his favour, whereas Gosden was saying yesterday that he's concerned that Gregory would want it quicker out of his two. So I'm very muddled by that. I would be, I'd let that win. I don't like horses drifting alarmingly when there's no seeming reason for it, and they've got the Saturday team of Gosden and Dettori that so often are overbet. This is looking like it's massively underbet, so that makes me more confident. Continuous, I think, didn't particularly like the fast ground at York. If you look at it run, a huge, great big round action, and you look at its earlier form, I think it won despite the ground at York. And I think it'll absolutely love this ground here. Just nice, good to soft. And this is a big, strong, powerful horse. I'm just going to say it's breeding by Heart's Cry out of which was by Galileo. If you go through what it had done before that, second to King of Steel at Ascot. Again, on ground, I think was too quick. Now, King of Steel, of course, is the much maligned and the Kevin Stott ride last time. But what we can say is King of Steel is a serious Group 1 horse who just got done in a Derby and won a Group 2 at Ascot and ran okay the other day. We'll be given a lot to do maybe, but that's good, strong form in relation to this race. You look before that, the horse was beaten by the Foxes at York. I think that trip was too short even at that time. And then going back to last year, won at Saint Cloud in a Group 3 impressively on soft ground. I think this has been the plan for this all year. I think this is going to relish this trip, relish the ground. He's already beaten one of the top contenders. Like you, I don't think Desert Hero, Chess Piece, and Middle Earth are good enough. My danger would be Tower of London. I had a little saver on that last night and got the 10s. He seems to be the mover on the day. But I come back to you, Judge. Ryan Moore would ride Tower of London if he thinks that was the one. And he doesn't. He's on Continuous. So the same sort of logic that he's had the choice, I think he thinks Continuous is significantly better than Tower of London. But I still think that one of the plays might be to have the old Coolmore forecast of Continuous to beat Tower of London. I'll certainly have a little bit on that. But for me, it's Continuous. Very, very worried about this drift on Arrest. You never know. The market may plunge back and it may come back late as the Frankie factor kicks in. But as it stands now, I think Continuous is going to be, you'll do well to beat that 3-1 come race time. So I would take that if you're on. I'm going to have a little forecast on O'Brien to beat O'Brien and Continues to beat Tower of London. And I'll take these two Gosden ones on. So that's for me. And the judge is on Arrest. Would you have a dangerous saver, Judge?
Well, it was funny, because I just sort of agree and disagree with you. I kind of feel that the race was completely run to suit Continuous. They went balmy fractions, and he picked the pieces up, and he looked very impressive. I do have a slight issue with possibly getting the mile 6. I think 1.5 miles is perfect. I think he and the other thing I'm also concerned about, can you actually see a lot of pace in the race today? It doesn't.
Oh, I think the two outsiders will set it.
Yeah, well, I think that's a possibility. But if that might happen, but it could turn into a messy race because they might want it to be a slowly run race for continuous. Who knows? I just looked at it and I just thought he might struggle to get the trip. But I do agree with you regarding the other O'Brien horse. I do think he would be my saver at the prices. Tower of London. He was very unlucky at Newmarket. Let's be honest. It's not often this season actually Ryan's given one a poor ride. He's had a really good season, Ryan Moore, this year. He's been the most consistent jockey easily for me riding. That's only. Well, it wasn't his only bad ride, but it wasn't the greatest, and he should have won. So he should be coming on the back of this, sort of on the back of the hat trick. And he was the wrong price at 10-1. There's not so much juice in his current price, but if I'm playing this race, which I will be, because I've actually tipped a rest myself, I'll be going a rest and then having a very small saver on the same one as you, Tower of London.
So there we go, folks. We agree on the danger, the old Tower of London. That's where we'll get sent if our selections in these videos do not start winning. But so I'm on continuous and the judge is on arrest for Frankie. And of course, if Frankie wins, there will be some scenes at Donny where he's had such great success over the years and he'll fly in dismount. But as I say, there are rumours he could be having a rethink. So we'll know. And what better place to quash them and say he's coming back next year if he decides to change his mind than having won a classic. So it should be an interesting interview should he win. Yes. But I'm hoping the interview is with that crazy character Ryan Moore for continuous with Tower of London in second, chasing him home. So have a fantastic day. And like I said, 2 big jewels went in yesterday. We'll see if we can find some more on Monday. Good luck, Judge. I won't even say it now. You know what I'm going to say. But what we can say is be lucky.
Be lucky.
Bye, everybody.
Holdings. Horses.